Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Capital A Trading and welcome to my latest Forex Weekly. For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to go through the charts, look at the best investment opportunities for the week, show you what I'm going to see, show you what I'm going to do, show you how I'm going to tackle them. And then again, if you can catch on to that, it's a bonus. So again, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming in the first quarter of this year. If you haven't already, check out my website, www.capitalatrading.co.uk. You can check out my mentorship program on there. It's around 3 to 4 month mentorship program where I look to build up your skills in the trading world. So again, if that sounds good, check out the website, www.capitalatrading.co.uk. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get into the charts. First, we're going to take a look at the fundamentals for the week.
Okay, so like always, it's important to check the economic calendar at the start of the week just to see where there's going to be any points that impact a certain currency, impact the chart in a certain way. So for example, last week, we saw the USD CAD both have their interest rate decisions. And again, I'll be talking about that in a minute. You'll see how it impacted the chart and how it kind of went one way as the CAD's interest rate decision was announced, and then the US dollars started to take it their way. So again, we'll be talking about that in a minute. So the news, again, I'm just looking at the news for Monday. There's nothing really there that's going to make me hone in on one currency. Tuesday, I'll be looking at the euro unemployment rate. Again, it's going to not have too much of an impact. Maybe some more on the New Zealand dollar in the evening around their employment change. But again, not much news on Tuesday either. As I get to Wednesday, I'll check on the Australian dollar after the speech here. But other than that, again, the main piece of news is, of course, the pound's interest rate decision. That's coming on Thursday. It's at 12 o'clock. It's an hour before the New York Open. So again, we'll be checking out the pound USD, but there'll be some definite movements there around the pound. And then as you can see now, the euro's interest rate decision is only 45 minutes later on Wednesday. So that's going to be the part of the week that we're looking to see the most impact, looking to see where we can get onto a trading opportunity. And again, as you can see, Friday, we've got the NFP. So there'll be some movement around that as well, especially in the US dollar and even the Canadian dollar, all at the same time. There's a lot of things to kind of check out to see where the impact's going to come from. So with that, let's get into the charts. Okay, as always, I'm going to start off with gold, give you my prediction on how I think this is going to develop over the week. I mentioned the sell last week from around the 1845, 1850 mark. We've had a massive push to the downside. What I'm looking at now is this candle that was formed on the 15th of December. It's grabbed lots of liquidity under here. It's obviously reached the lowest point, come down towards the 1750 mark, and then it shot back up. So it looks like something's been left there for my students who would know. And as you can see now, on the top of that candle, price has just come and hit it on Friday and stuck, stayed there. So I'm going to monitor the 1780 level, give it a bit of space. This is gold. It can come down to this small black candle here, which would bring price to the 1770 mark. So I'm going to watch between 1770, 1780. I want to see price just struggling in this area at the start of the week. And then I'll be thinking about taking a buy position to hopefully come back up towards the 1820, 1830 mark. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be gold. The next one I want to talk about is the US 30. So again, I've got an area here. You can't really see it too clearly on the daily. As I come down the time frames, I'm just going to be looking at around that 35,200, 35,300 level. Around here, price shot down from this point on the 20th of January, and it hasn't come back and interacted with that area yet. So all I'm looking to see is price come up towards that 35,200, 300 mark. Again, similar to gold, I want to see some struggle. I want to see that it is interacting with this candle here, the one that I believe it's going to interact with. And then I'll start focusing on getting a sell position somewhere here around that 35,200, 35,300. This is the US 30. For those of you who know, it's very volatile, so just be careful in there. The next one I wanted to talk about, again, very similar on the US 500. It's the area here around the 4,560. I'm going to focus more on the US 30, but I thought I'd add that in there as well. The next one I want to talk about is the UK 100. For those of you who know, for those of you who follow me, I've been on this for ages, and I believe another sell position is cooking. So as I just look at this area here, I look at this swing down, all of a sudden, there's been a big bearish involvement. It then comes back up to the 88% area for my students who would know. And it looks like it's having a transaction at the 7,600 mark. As you can see, Friday, After that, tried to reach up again and then just got absorbed. So all that buying pressure in that area got absorbed. As I come down to the 4 hour, it's just going to be around that 7600, 7625, basically where my blue bar is. I want to see price come back up to there, show me another sign of struggling, show me another wiki candle like this, and I'll be happy to get a position to at least, hopefully, back towards the 7,000 mark. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the UK 100. Okay, I just want to start off with the euro pound. This was mentioned last week. It's had a monstrous move to the downside. It's achieved the target in the week. So again, a very good trade. Just some points here, some understanding of the lot size you could have placed, the risk that you could have put on, and the gain that you could have had is all there for you to be displayed. Good trade. Again, shout out to my students that caught on to that. Well done to you guys. What I'm looking at now this week, again, I've closed my trade. I'm happy with what I've gained last week. However, if it does come back up and retest, if I just break down the time frame slightly, if it comes back up towards the 83,500, 83,600, just regarding the structure and the way it's moving, then I'll be looking at it. But again, take this one with a pinch of salt. It's had a nice push to the downside now. It's not going to be my main focus, but it will be something that I think about, as I can see the pound is just bullying the euro at the moment. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro pound. And now we move on to the euro CAD. There was a sell mentioned here last week from the 143,400 mark. So we wanted to see price just come back up and retest the level. We haven't got that yet. So we're remaining patient. And there's now just a couple other things I want to talk about. It's the 143 level. It's this scenario here. It's where I can see they've done something before moving away and not really interacting with that area since. So I will just be watching the 143. It can come to the 143,400. After that, the trade will become invalid to me. So just keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro CAD. Again, remember, there's some CAD news towards the end of the week. So if it's still there, say come Thursday, this would then start to become a main focus for me. That's going to be the euro CAD. And again, last but not least, will be the euro NZD. Now, what I want to talk about here is the daily picture straight away. You can see prices come up towards the 171 level. And now we've tapped into this scenario here, which was formed back in August last year. So it's been a while. I want to see what's going to happen with this area. I want to see how it's going to interact, if it's going to struggle. And if I start to see what I believe will be my contract being formed, where I can see the New Zealand dollar, which has some news this week, gain strength, then we can think about taking a position around the, I'll give it a bit of space to breathe, around the 170,600 to the 171 level. So I still want to see it climb a little bit higher. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro NZD. Next up is the USD CAD. Now, again, last week, I mentioned the sell in this area around the 126,500. We had a nice 100 pip move to the downside in time with the CAD's interest rate decision. So that's what fueled it. Now, the US dollar's interest rate decision was coming up the next day. And as you can see, that fueled that to the upside. So now here we are sitting underneath the 128 level. So if I move over to the daily now, I'm just going to be looking at this area here. I want to see this candle that's tapped back on that area. I want to see the relevance of it. So that may bring us to around 128, 100. So I'll give it a bit of space, around 128, let's say to the 128, 200 mark. If I come down to the 4 hour, it's that candle here I want to see. I just want to see price sticking to it, staying underneath it, and then hopefully we can see a move for the Canadian dollar. So that's going to be the USD CAD. Very similar is the USD Swiss franc. And again, I'm looking at the daily picture. We've interacted with this area on Thursday. Friday showed price staying underneath it around the 93,400, 93,300. So now all we're going to be looking for is this movement here. I want to see price sticking underneath this body here. And then hopefully we can see a move that will power the Swiss franc to the downside. So keep an eye on them together. That's going to be the USD CAD and the USD Swiss franc. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about, this was a move that was recently mentioned a couple of weeks back now, around the 73 mark. And we've had a monstrous 300 pip move to the downside. So now looking at this, all I would be looking at, I just believe the US dollar is going to continue the strength over the Australian dollar. So I'd be looking at price just coming back up towards maybe the 71 area, maybe the 70, maybe the 72. It's around this scenario here. So again, I'll be looking at that, seeing if there's going to be any struggle at the 71, but I'm probably going to favor waiting on the 72 move. So that means if price does come to the 71, and start to struggle and move down, I'll probably ignore it because I would rather wait on that area there. So keep an eye on that one. That's the AUD USD. Okay, so let's get onto some pound pairs. Now, this one here, the pound Swiss franc, again, mentioned some moves recently about the sells around the 126, 127. We had a nice push and it's now coming back up towards this area. Now, what the daily's showing me is that price has been moving down. This is the last point before we can see them shoot price down. And as it comes back, just notice how the wicks can reach up, but the bodies are struggling to go higher than this point. So the first thing I'm going to do is just look out for the 125 level. I do believe we can get a sell move from there. It's almost kind of already started on Friday where price has come up, hit that 125 mark and start to move down. So I'll just be monitoring that. It can come a little bit higher. I'll give it to the 125, 200. And I'll just see if we're going to get a move from that area. That's going to be the pound Swiss franc. This was a move that's been mentioned recently. Again, it's the pound USD around that 137,500 level. And again, we've just been powering to the downside. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon until it's reached its target here around the 131,500 mark. So if I just come to the 4 hour now, I'll be looking at this here that happened on the 26th of January last week. I just want to see if price is going to come back up, interact with the 135 level. Again, a nice key round number. And then the US dollar continues its power over the pound for the moment. So keep an eye on that one around the 135. That's going to be the pound USD. Last but not least is the pound yen. Now, again, this is a move that I've been mentioning recently. We've had a lovely sell to the downside, and it's now coming back up to an area where it looks like it's struggling again around the nice round number of the 155. If I come down to the 4 hour, again, not too visible of what I'm actually looking for. There's a nice market gap here. And if I just keep breaking it down for my students that would know, it's this area here that I'm looking at around that 155. Give it a bit of space to breathe. 155, 300. I want to see price struggling here and then start to make another move to the downside, seeing the yen gain some strength. So keep an eye on that one. It's the 155 level. And again, around Tuesday morning, I'll start to make this one of my main focuses. So keep an eye on that one. It's the pound yen.
Okay, guys, again, thanks for watching. If you like that, hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know what pairs you want me to look at for the coming week, and then we'll see how we can tackle them. So again, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. Like I said, there's a lot of exciting content coming from now until like the end of March, so do look out for that. Again, if you want to learn how to trade, if you want to check out my mentorship program, it's on www.capitalatrading.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Have a great trading week.
Bye, have a great time.